This is MediaSlam, where we are talking about the intersection of design, content, and technology. I am the co-host, Kurt Doty, aka the Dodester. Today I have a co-host, Stacy Jolna, innovative digital media executive, business builder at the crossroads of media and technology. He helped build game-changing digital, mobile, TV, and social media businesses including TiVo, CNN, Microsoft Web TV, TV Guide Digital, and now Clicks TV, named to Ad Age's Marketing 100. Among many things, we want to talk about content discovery and how he's doing it differently at Clicks TV. Once again, I am Kurt Doty. I'm a branding and marketing consultant with entertainment, tech, and Fortune 500 companies. Please subscribe to our channel here, and I have to mention our sponsor today, White Prompt. They are a next level software development company. From IT consulting to quality assurance, they offer true end-to-end capabilities. Check out our entire sponsor lineup at kurtdoty.co/mediaslam. Let's get into it. And here we go. Stacy, your background is incredible. We both come from a television background, and we have been peers and clients and friends for years, thankfully. And so today's topic, Stacy, please elaborate on your history, what I didn't elaborate on, and what you're doing as CMO of Clicks TV and your POV and what's happening in the industry.
Sure. So we started Clicks with the way we usually start building businesses. Ed Sullivan and I have been involved in developing this company. Ed was the CEO of a sort of Mercedes-Benz of on-air branding companies that rolled out the new look for CBS, ABC, Fox every year. And every place I've gone, from CNN to Microsoft to TiVo to News Corp and TV Guide to this company, has been about bringing it in to help me look better. So we are partners in this venture along with Ed's wife, Patricia Sullivan. The key to this company is integrating new technologies, including artificial intelligence, marine learning, and by the way, expert humans to help provide guidance to overwhelmed streaming consumers across the board, right? This
Mm-hmm.
is about finding what you want to watch, where you want to watch it, because now everything's on demand, and we can talk a little bit about that later. But the key here is that, I'll tell you, my wife and I will spend 23 minutes a night arguing about our entertainment experience. That's not very entertaining. So if we can reduce the amount of time people are spending finding that streaming movie, that streaming series that they're interested in, and do it in 3 to 5 minutes, we will have saved marriages across America and across the world. So that's only a partial goal of ours. But we really believe that there's an enormous pent-up consumer demand today for real guidance as to what the best of the best movies and series are across Disney, WB Discovery, NBC Universal's Peacock, Amazon's Prime Video, Netflix, of course, and all the way across the board. So that is our role within the industry. We're not a combatant in the streaming wars. We see ourselves essentially as an ally to all of those great streaming media companies.
Well, I had to say I agree with you on the use case scenario of husband and wife sitting on the couch trying to decide between what to
Yeah.
watch. So yeah, I think you are saving marriages, and it's so interesting that you are this kind of independent, neutral party that presents those choices to people. And what led you to the insights to say we need to own this space? There's an opportunity, and this is why Clicks TV exists.
Well, I'll tell you, you never really understand your career, Kurt, until you look at it in the rear view mirror. Because as you look at that front window everything, makes you scratch your head and go, well, what am I doing now? Why am I doing this? But if you go along with it and you roll with it and use your sense of innovation and experience with each passing uh, company that you work with to do good work, it all sort of makes sense in the end. At least it does for me. So, I went from a traditional TV news background, a dozen years at CNN running special programming, to Microsoft with a company called Web TV, helping to run that company. And that led me in Silicon Valley to the development of what became TiVo. It was called Teleworld, and that really deserved a better brand name, uh, because Teleworld sounded, at least to me, a little like Patio World. And if we were going to be developing the future of television with full control on the consumer side, it needed something a little bit sexier as a brand name. And we came up with TiVo, capital T, capital V, with a little I and a little O with a smile underneath it, that really made
Mhm.
sense. And then developing the idea that this new box in your living room would have a personality and not just be another piece of technology, hardware technology in the rack in your living room. So we developed the TiVo character, along with Peter Sullivan, to give it more of a sense of that, the fun that you feel when you see a Disney character or Warner Brothers character, animated character on the screen, and began to really work hard to bring in virtually every major media company as investors in TiVo, and really and build that kind of coalition around this new technology that was a little bit scary to all of those companies. It allowed you to pause live TV and fast forward through commercials, but it also, as we began to develop the tech and really understood how to map that technology to advertising and promotions and programming, it enabled us to do some really dramatic things innovatively in the television industry. Number one was that you could, with one click of a button on your TiVo remote, you could record an entire season of your favorite program. Number two is that you could click a button on your remote control when you saw a thumbs up icon through your TiVo, for a commercial, an advertisement, like for BMW. And if you were in the market for buying a car, it would pause live TV so you wouldn't miss anything, pop you into a walled garden for BMW, and you could click on videos for any of the product line, from the X series to the 3 series, the 5 series, the 7 series. And of course, you could connect through an RFI, a request for further information, to BMW in the first ever effort to connect the consumer directly to the brand, right? That was the first time it was ever done on a television screen.
Amazing.
So we began to innovate in really interesting new ways that turned the corner on advertising, turned the corner on programming desires for the consumer, and really began to develop new ideas around business models in television.
Yeah, so I mean, it's certainly exciting about being a pioneer in interactive television, interactive advertising. Um, but most importantly, you put the consumer in control really for the
Yes.
very first time with that evolution from linear TV to where we are today with streaming. And it was a radical concept that must have been hard to sell in, certainly to networks, when you're going to say to networks, oh, by the way, we're fast forwarding through your commercials. But we have other ways to insert advertisers as a way around that.
And
Um,
increase revenues per rating point as well,
right,
right? So
right,
that was the other side of the sword, right? So on the one hand, people consumers had greater control over their entertainment experience in their living room than ever before, which, of course, scared television executives. And believe me, I had some choice words lobbed at me in meetings at various television media companies. But, technology advances, and you either go with it and find new business models and new ways to help your consumer enjoy the media that you're providing them, or you're done. You're
Right.
out of business.
Right.
So, at a time when we were beginning to see video on demand, in fact, Comcast was one of the great proponents, Brian Roberts, great proponent of having video on demand opportunities for consumers. We took that concept with TiVo and turned it into a capability that every single television viewer had in their living room with just one box, right?
Right.
So, all of that led to, each idea that we began to execute with a rock star um, engineering team in Silicon Valley. Each success story that we developed technically developed another 10 ideas, another 10 ideas, another 10 ideas. And I think at the end of the day, the media companies that came in as advisors, as investors, as partners, all made money, all learned interesting new ideas about their businesses. And we really, truly created a coalition in the industry and had a very successful IPO. So all of those media companies that saw the dangers also saw the opportunity, thankfully, and some of the best really became leaders in the world of streaming. From Bob Bakish, who was one of the very first media company investors at Viacom to invest in TiVo, now the CEO of Paramount and runs Paramount Plus as well. Jeff Shell, who brought me down to Los Angeles to help create the future of television guidance, is now the chairman of NBC Universal, and really working hard to make Peacock a success story as well. Iger, of course, who's just come back and running Disney again, and Disney Plus may be the best brand beyond Netflix in the industry. And of course, David Zaslav, who was on my board of directors at TiVo. We recruited David from NBC at the time, and he met John Hendrick, who was the CEO, or at least rekindled their relationship, and wound up through that relationship on the TiVo board, becoming the CEO of the Discovery Network. And so here we are. Fast forward, and he's running WB Discovery with all the opportunities to create streaming on-demand programming, and as well as keeping the vestiges of linear TV alive.
Yeah. Well, you're certainly talking about the giants of
Yep.
television today.
And
And
by the way, all of these guys were investors. I mean, every one of those companies was investors in TiVo, even though they saw the jeopardy on one side of the sword, they saw the opportunity, thankfully, on the other side of the sword, and ran with it. So that fast forward, here we are today in the world of streaming competition.
yeah, speaking of that, I mentioned that you're in the middle of all these streamers. And how have those partnerships worked? Speak to Clicks TV and how it was formed and fulfilling the need both for your network partners but also the consumer.
Well, so we started with the question of, what do consumers want? What do they need in terms of their entertainment experience? And throughout my career, I've always begun every initiative with, how will consumers react to this? Will they be excited? Will they be engaged? whether it was linear TV at CNN, we launched a show called CNN Presents on Sunday nights, and created an innovative 1 hour program there that was competing with 60 Minutes and 2020 and Primetime Live, and beating them in some cases for Emmys, uh, to developing web TV, the idea that on your TV screen you could connect to this new thing called the internet, and that led, of course, to TiVo, and then at News Corp being able to develop the future of television guidance with short form video. Well, we took pages out of every one of those experiences when we created TiVo, and especially TV Guide. This whole idea of creating short form video programming to point consumers to the best on TV. And at the time, it was all pretty much linear, right? It was going to NBC, ABC, CBS, Fox programming that we would point you to. We hired comedians to be the hosts of these programs, these 3 4 minute programs. It was very successful, and our advertiser was Cheez-Its, from Starcom Media in Chicago, and the retention value in a focus group testing that we did in L.A., New York, Chicago, San Francisco were through the roof for the brand. So we knew we were onto something, and Mr. Murdoch decided to buy the Wall Street Journal and sell DirecTV and TV Guide divisions, and raise additional capital to buy Dow Jones. But the idea of creating short form video programming content to drive video consumers to the best of what's playing across different venues in video format was one that stuck with me. And so we created this idea, and here we are, 2.5, 3 years later, and it's really um, an exciting user interface that we're developing further. And stay tuned, y'all, because the next version is coming out in a few months, and will be even more exciting, even more engaging. We decided to really up our game by bringing in early on by bringing in advanced technology, AI, machine learning, and other capabilities to combine with human expertise for curation. Uh, and and the result is we seem to be spot on in terms of making recommendations to consumers about the top movies and the top series across all the great streaming networks. So here we are. And now the question is, what do you do with all that advanced technology? How do you present that user experience so it feels not so much like work, so it doesn't feel
Right.
like it's just your electric utility, but rather it's an entertainment experience that provides a utility capability for consumers. So you're meeting that demand, and that's we were working for that goal right from the start, and here we are. It's working. We're up to 13 million registered users around the world, and moving the dial more and more every day towards U.S. based consumers. Uh, so here we are in the middle, and we don't see anyone else who has brought together technology and advanced human curation expertise to be that guidance guru, if you will, for consumers.
Right. And I so appreciate the fact that you added humans into your equation, because AI is
Because
certainly
because you are
taken
one.
over the narrative. Yeah, I am one.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lose my job, but it's certainly a controversial topic. I mean, AI has been around for a long time. Algorithms have been around a long time. Recommendation engines have been around a long time, and it's only getting smarter. But I think the human element that you describe is interesting because I follow you and I get your alerts and everything, and your leadership in the communication and the cleverness of the marketing and the writing and your how you package things up, I think is very clever, and I think very human driven. I don't think ChatGPT could have written any of your copy. So
Thanks so much. Thank you,
I
Kurt.
I appreciate that and your sensibility so much. But the idea that uh, these streaming wars are happening. What are your predictions? Because you work with all these streamers, and what's going to happen? Consolidation, diffraction, confusion. Uh, it's a volatile time, and not everyone's going to win. But who are the winners, and how do you see this playing out?
Well, that there's a lot there to unpack in that question. It's a
Yeah,
great
sorry.
question. Um, no, I think it's fantastic. In terms, first of all, in terms of what we're doing, and I'll get you to the predictions in a moment. But in terms of what we're doing, one of the things I learned in Silicon Valley was that the no matter how good that engineering team was, without the overlay of media and marketing expertise, it was very simple for any of those new products being developed by those very smart engineering teams could very easily go off the rails, right?
Yeah, yeah.
On the opposite side, out of Hollywood, without acknowledging the importance of technology, especially digital technology, that would give consumers more control, more advice, more guidance in what to watch, their efforts for developing great creative programming content that wasn't being watched clearly was an example of going off the rails as well. So, one of the things that I learned in all of this was that you got to be a bit of a Rosetta Stone to connect the talents of Silicon Valley with the incredible creative expertise and talent of Hollywood in interesting new ways. And that's what we set out to do with TiVo, certainly. We're seeing the same sort of examples bubble up, and absolutely the best example of streaming expertise that brought Hollywood and Silicon Valley together is Netflix. I mean, the
Hmm.
big red N is clearly the leader, and we're seeing that leadership happen in a variety of other companies as well. So, who are the winners in all of this? Certainly, Netflix is a winner. It's the biggest globally, and whether you're wringing your hands at the stock price right now, or looking into the future to how this will be one of the greatest companies in giving consumers control of their entertainment experience with great choice control and convenience. Um, that's, look, sometimes you got to be a little bit patient, but so far they're giving us a great service as consumers. They're giving us a great service for entertainment, and I think that Netflix wins. The other great winner in this, call it a streaming war, is Disney, certainly, because of all of the companies, all the studios and networks. As you talk to folks on the younger end of demographics who are Gen Z and millennials, many of them don't even care what network or what studio it came from unless it's from Disney. Disney has the brand that everybody recognizes, appreciates, understands, and that will only get greater and greater as time goes on. So Disney Plus, I think, is a winner. Netflix and Disney Plus. Paramount Plus, very interesting. So I think I'm a big fan of Backish. I think that that'll that the Viacom Corporation that evolved into Paramount Global always thought about cradle to grave programming content for consumers, and so they too started with what does the consumer want? Who is the consumer, and what
Mm-hmm.
do they want? And so here we have a new service, Paramount Plus, for consumers, and they got both lucky and you do make your own luck as well. So Backish and his team were fortunate enough to bring the Yellowstone content and new versions of the Yellowstone programming content in as a spearhead, and more and more and more content is coming that way. The Tom Cruise films are there, and I look forward to more original programming content from Paramount Plus. I think they have an opportunity to be a winner.
Oh,
Um,
yeah. I have to I have to
cert,
add, when you talk about
yes,
Yellowstone, you're really talking about Taylor Sheridan
Taylor Sheridan, brilliant producer, also produced The Mayor, um,
of
that
Kingstown.
that
Yeah.
series of Kingstown, that series of shows, brilliant work. Was one of the executive producers of the new Sylvester Stallone
Tulsa
uh,
King.
uh,
Yep.
Tulsa King show. Funny. It's sort of it's like a comedy meets The Sopranos, and
Yeah.
I love it. So Taylor Sheridan, great producer,
And
great
writer. I mean,
creator,
you have to realize he started as
super writer.
a
Yeah, super
stuntman.
writer.
A stuntman when presented and when he asked, it's like, I need to make more money. And the producer or whatever stuntman he was, being on, he said, "You're not going to make more money." And then he went home and just started writing. And
He's a genius.
yeah,
Let's face it.
it's an amazing story, and he's bringing the spotlight to areas of the country, the flyover states, that don't have enough cultivation of stories, and he's writing about not only about the people and culture of the flyover states, but also the indigenous culture and history, and presenting
Yeah,
basically
yeah.
critical race theory to within the context of red state storytelling, and it's fascinating. And you
It
know,
really is.
it's
It really
such a
is.
great great guy.
Andy reinvented the horse dramas, right?
Yeah,
So
I mean the whole
we're all
cowboy
looking
drama
forward to
is
what's
like,
next. Exactly,
yeah, yeah.
exactly.
So
So look,
I think Paramount Plus is the sleeper winner. They've
I
been
do
an
I do
underdog,
too.
and they've been shuffled. They've been up for sale, and they've been a client of mine. I did the Paramount 100 app where we celebrated 100 years of movie
Mm,
making.
yep,
So we got to
yep.
go into their archives and work with the archives team, and so when you do that, you realize, oh my God, they've done some of the greatest movies ever, and but they're not known. They
Ever,
don't have the
yeah.
brand of Disney, right? And
Well,
but
so this yeah. There's something, there's another set of content that came out of Paramount Showtime networks, and that's the programming created by Howard Gordon, um, with with oh I, 24
hmm
and Homeland. And
right.
there are guys like Howard. Believe me, Howard's not done, I'm sure. But there are guys like Howard across Hollywood and across the nation, across the world, who are developing new programming that we can only be exposed to, I believe, in a streaming world. So there's a great opportunity here for the creators, great opportunity for the technologists, great opportunity for consumers, certainly, to enjoy new programming content. And I don't want to leave out two others, because I think they're very important players in all of this. Comcast, NBC Universal, with Jeff Shell at the helm, and Linda Yaccarino, who's just a brilliant revenue executive. Linda is putting together her own coalition of stakeholders to really focus on the future of advertising. And look, advertising is going to wind up saving a lot of the streaming companies because there are just so many dollars that consumers can afford in subscription in the subscription model. So you're seeing every company going into a hybrid model of a combination of that and subscription to keys companies thriving and producing more great content for all of our enjoyment. The other is, and by the way, Jeff Shell, just a moment about him. The reason I'm in LA, I said, was because of Jeff uh, and um, and his leadership at News Corp and TV Guide. uh, Jeff, Jeff understands the importance of guidance for consumers to point them at the right programming content. And I think between him and Linda's leadership, we're going to see great things coming out of NBCU. I know that Peacock is certainly going through a bit of a challenging period, but they'll figure it out. I know they will, and they will be one of the leaders still standing 5 years, 10 years from now. The last one I wanted to mention was David Zaslav's company. That integration of Warner Brothers and Discovery has yet to really fulfill its vision for where it's going. And we'll see more in terms of Discovery Plus. We'll see what happens with CNN as a news effort that would be a streaming capability. Obviously, the CNN Plus was killed early on because of the cost of that merger. But
Disaster.
but look, David's a smart guy. I really like him, and I really enjoyed having him on our board at TiVo. And John Malone is behind that company and behind David as a great guide for him as well and for the company. So I think there are great things yet to be invented, to be executed by WB Discovery. I think they are one of the last folks standing. And then you got to wonder about some of the littler players like AMC. Can they compete, or will they be rolled up? Will they be the company that rolls up other smaller companies and competes in the future? So
Yeah, I worry about Hulu, even though they had a great interface and were their pioneer sitting between, the five studios, really inventing the Netflix alternative many years ago.
yep.
Uh, it'll be interesting to see what their fate is. So, Stacy, I have to say that you mentioned Disney. It was very interesting that Iger is open to allowing his content to be yet again distributed on what are competing streamers, which I think is there was a fear when every studio started to create their own streaming networks that they would pull everything from Netflix, and that left Netflix vulnerable to their original programming, which is not sustainable. um,
Exactly. Yeah.
and so it was very encouraging. Iger says, "Yeah, it's all about if we have great content, why shouldn't it be everywhere?" So that's encouraging, and I think that's smart. And I hope the other studios follow suit because you know at some point, not everyone's going to be able to subscribe to every streamer, but everyone will want to watch a Disney movie. Everyone will want to watch a Warner Brothers movie. So there needs to be this cross fertilization, and I hope that continues for sure.
You're absolutely right. Absolutely right. There's no way in a digital world to have closed gardens, right?
Hmm.
Of just your content. It's a nice idea from a financial spreadsheet perspective, but it's a terrible idea in terms of consumer marketing and consumer adoption. You want to be where you can be, and everything that you do that is successful in terms of entertainment helps. ultimately to cross promote everything else that you're doing on your own service. So I think you're absolutely right, Kurt, and I think there's a lot of opportunity here ahead for that kind of collaboration between the media companies to promote and develop more interesting ways that consumers can access their content.
Yeah, I mean Hulu and also Prime. You haven't talked about Prime, but they
Mm.
allow the cable subscriptions
Oh,
for cable
sorry, I
channels
apologize.
on,
I
on
apologize.
their
Yeah,
on their
Prime Video,
platform.
right? Yeah. So yeah, Prime, Amazon Prime Video is certainly a player going forward. They're one of my favorites. And Albert, who runs TV here, Albert
Albert
Chang,
Chang, yeah.
is a brilliant guy and a good guy. I think that Prime Video has made so many good decisions moving forward and expanding their reach for consumers. So I really look forward to them being also one of the leaders in streaming 5 years from now and 10 years from now. I think there's so much they have to bring to the table, especially given the synergy between e-commerce and entertainment moving forward. And by the way, one of the things that we did at Clicks that plays uh, into that statement of e-commerce and entertainment is that both shopping and watching TV and movies are two of the great entertainment experiences that most humans enjoy, right? I think
Right.
uh, I think I think eating is the third highest one in the data. But so understanding that Clicks engineered its user behavior, its interface along the lines, or I should say, on top of the classic marketing funnel, and that classic marketing funnel is going from the top to the bottom, right? It's awareness, it's consideration, it's conversion, or in some cases, conversion is really watching or it's buying in the shopping experience,
Hmm.
all the way down to loyalty. And so we built our UI and our UX to map onto that marketing experience. The cool thing about this is that you can click on any display ad or any video pre-roll or video ad, and it'll pop you into, say, that world of Pizza Hut, for example, one of our sponsors, and be offered more video about new products that they're developing and more marketing initiatives, sales, an opportunity to get a free Coke or whatever it is, and then click that big old buy button and order that pizza immediately directly from Clicks and have it delivered to your home. So, why is that important? Because we developed a patent that we just received from the US Patent Office for direct to consumer marketing and sales.
Mm.
Never been done before. We own that patent now, and we have other patents that are pending along the lines of marrying entertainment from streaming TV and movies to commerce, e-commerce, so that consumers can stay on one platform if they wish, find out what to watch, pop over, go see it on Amazon or on WB Discovery Plus or on Disney Plus or Peacock or Paramount Plus or Netflix, but also be able to purchase. Now, if it's a subscription experience, we're developing technology that could potentially link clicks as a guidance engine directly to our friends over at those streaming services, so that you can either start watching immediately if you're subscribed, or purchase that subscription as we develop business relationships with all of those streaming companies.
That's great. I love the pizza idea. We did that with HDDVD at Universal back in the day.
Yep. Yep.
Um, but people just didn't want to interact with their movies the way that we wanted them to. So that whole interactive component from a movie watching perspective uh, never completely took off. But I think the streamers are where it's happening because it went beyond movies and the disc format. Um,
Right. Well, and
would
and
they,
now you've got full control over your entertainment experience. So if you want to pause, you just put your thumb on your remote, right?
yeah,
And
right,
or one click away and order that pizza and go back to the movie. So
yeah.
it's much simpler today.
Hey, something you touched on, mainly around Prime. The way that a lot of these streamers are going to survive is to diversify their type of content. And obviously, Netflix started with, licensed, canned movies and TV shows. Prime did the same. But the move into live sports, I think, is a game changer
Oh yeah.
because there were two things that kept your cable subscription, kept you from cutting the cable, and that was live TV, whether it be news or sports.
Yep.
Everything else could be in the can and stream, but news and sports are those live things that people need to watch every day. You're a former news guy, so am I, and
Yep.
I appreciate the fact that Prime took that step into live sports. It's a great step towards survival in that format war.
Agreed. Look, live sports was really what helped uh, build Fox. Rupert Murdoch understood intrinsically from day one that having live sports on this nascent Fox network that was going to compete with NBC, CBS, ABC was critical to the success of that new network. And here we are today, and we're seeing pages from that Murdoch playbook uh, put into action by companies like Amazon Prime Video. I think it makes a great deal of sense. It'll be interesting to see what Netflix does, what NBCU does in this arena, what Disney ABC does in this arena. I think the last thing I've seen data-wise is that the professional sports rights are doubling for the near future. So
Right,
it's going to
because
put a lot
there's
more
more
financial pressure. Yeah.
competition than the four majors before,
Yep.
right? And
Yep.
they have deep pockets of money and a commitment to the future. So, yeah, I mean, ABC Sports, NBC Sports, I don't know, could all go to streamers.
It's going to be
Yeah.
interesting. One of the other things is regional sports rights. So for example, Byron Allen and his company bought out a number of the regional sports companies from Fox when that Fox Disney deal
Hmm.
happened, and so he's really pushing hard on that front. Does that remain in linear? Does that move to streaming? Is it a combination of linear presentation as well as on-demand streaming? We're going to see what works financially, and we'll see what works with consumer demand as well. And I think it's going to be very interesting to keep an eye on what happens there. News, there's another challenge because of the cost of developing news programming content from around the world. And so we're seeing that kind of challenge play out in real time on CNN today. Um, it's going to be thorny, but you're right, Kurt. I mean, news is one of the last bastions of live programming on linear that will keep linear alive for a longer period of time. So we'll see how CNN under the aegis of WB Discovery plays out, improves, evolves over the next several years.
Yeah. Yeah. News is embroiled in politics, but we don't want to get into politics on this
No,
show.
no, no, no.
Uh,
Yeah, yep.
but so, what other insights or new things that you're developing at Clicks TV that you could share? Because it's a very exciting platform, and again, you're in the middle of it, and you have these relationships with all of the other streamers and broadcasters, and it's such an interesting position to be in for you and your company. So, what else do you have to share?
Well, here's where we tend to start at Clicks. What is the consumer pain point? What is the predominant consumer pain point as the streaming world continues to grow and evolve, and the financial models change and more original content is produced? What's the biggest pain point? As I look at it, and as I talk to friends and colleagues really around the country and around the world, the biggest mind bending pain is is the is that each one of the streaming companies has its own grids and guides that you have to wade through, and siloed recommendations just for that single service. It's not how consumers operate.
Right.
Consumers want to know what the best movie is, what the best series is, and they could care less where it is or what the name of that company is. They want to know what it is, and then one click get there, and make it free, make it fast, make it fun. That's what consumers are really looking for. And so when we began the process of developing Clicks as a guidance engine, a guidance guru for consumers, we said, look, let's start by creating one stunning video and info-centric platform for entertainment fans to rapidly find what you want, when and where you want it, and make it simple. That utility becomes fun, becomes entertainment instantly. That's where it needed to go. So that's what we've been working on. I can't tell you all the secret stuff that we've got planned, but I can tell you that we are focused 100% on what works for consumers, because if we get it right for entertainment fans, we will get it right for every stakeholder in the industry, right? Whether it's
Hmm.
streaming companies, studios, networks, media companies, or it's advertisers and brands. And, the more we talk to brands about advertising on Clicks, by the way, it's free to consumers, Clicks. So we are
Yeah.
supported by advertising, and we always felt that, but that charging consumers for our guidance was a harder way to get into the marketplace than talking to our friends at the agencies and directly at the brands. And so we've been looking at ways that we could, um, of course, get it right for consumers, but also get it right for those brand partners who are advertising with us. And one of the things I've been working on and really studying and excited about over the course of the past really couple decades since my TiVo days is what the future of advertising presentation would look like, right? And
Hmm.
we now know it's not just a 30-second ad. It's gotten shorter. It's 6 seconds, it's 8 seconds. Can you click through and get to an extended branding experience if you so desire? If it's relevant to you, that's a big part of what the future of advertising bodes. And if you're interested and you want to learn more about that car because you're in the market for a new electric vehicle, you want to be able to set up a test drive,
Yeah.
right there and then,
Right.
boom, one click. So I think they're, you know, again, going back to this whole idea of marrying e-commerce with, and it's a direct to consumer experience, marrying that direct to consumer brand experience with entertainment, making the whole process fun, as well as a utility, is where we are focused 100%.
Fascinating. I have to add too that your position of, basically creating a streaming platform yourself, but
Yeah,
recognizing that your competitors could be your partners. And if you make them your partners, they're not your competitors, and that you've built this ecosystem that's supportive of each other. And again, you're in the middle of that ecosystem, and I think it was just a brilliant strategy. And
well,
for the
thank you, Kurt. Now, look, I think it goes back to your comment about Bob Iger deciding that he wants to put Disney content onto other platforms. You know, it reminds me a bit of Detroit, right? Where people talk about frenemies in Detroit. Every one of the major auto companies is working with everyone else. They're marketing themselves, they're branding
Mhm.
themselves, they're putting a lot of cash into selling their own cars, but at the end of the day, they're all working together all the way across that supply chain.
The supply chain, the parts, right? You'd have a
Yeah, it's it.
transmission from
That's
one
it, right?
company and be sold under another company. So
Exactly,
yeah, that's
exactly.
smart. Hey, so we're getting close to the end here. But Stacey, I wanted to thank you so much. We go way back,
You're
and I
so welcome. Yeah, you're so
appreciate
welcome,
your
Kurt.
friendship and your leadership and everything. That's it for today. Thanks, Stacy, for being a great co-host. Hope you will be back. Please join the MediaSlam house. Follow me, Kurt Doty, or follow Stacy Jolna. Thanks again to our sponsor, White Prompt. Look for more upcoming announcements.
MediaSlam is a podcast, YouTube channel, and publication of kurtdoty.co that discusses the intersection of design, content, and technology. Follow Kurt Doty on LinkedIn and Clubhouse and subscribe here. To learn more, go to www.kurtdoty.co/mediaslam. Copyright symbol 2023 Kurt Doty Company LLC. All rights reserved. Reproduction, in whole or part, without permission of the publisher is prohibited.